How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Gamertag and Bradley podcast. We are delivering an episode on time, potentially early. We've got quite a bit to discuss. A lot of it has been brought up by Brad, which is really kind of him. And I want to make a public apology. I did say to everyone that I was going to create a Discord channel for you guys to drop in any suggestions of topics we should talk about on the show. And I didn't make it, and I will do that this weekend. And I'll probably and I will leave a link to that Discord in this video's description. With that out of the way, how are you, Brad? You are looking different and new.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and I was like, I want to do a new scan. Actually, I want to do a new scan every week, just so like you guys don't see my, you can see my hair grow badly and too long and stuff like that. So yeah,
For all the hardcore Bradley fans, this is a big thing. They are like, dude, I really want to see his hair grow.
I really wish that I could save a scan like long term. You can only have one at a time right now.
Oh,
It'd be
that's a bit weird.
amazing. Yeah, it is weird. I wish I could have one like for personal and then work or whatever. But not even just that, but I want like immortalize a version of myself forever.
Yeah.
Like, it would be really cool if I could 20 years later be like, man, I was so hot. Now I'm not, sort of thing. So
It's really interesting you say that. When the Millennium Dome first opened, obviously on the Millennium, they had this 3D capture thing where they said everyone who attends in the first year or so gets put into a time capsule. And so me and my wife were 3D scanned. I like, for back then, I thought it was incredible seeing myself as a 3D model. To be honest, though, they probably do look at that now. If aliens or whoever built it up, they'll be like, "What resolution is this?
yeah,
This is absolute trash. I can't even make out what this guy looks like." But yeah, it is weird they can't make. They don't allow you to swap the avatars, because I think that would be pretty awesome for you to have like a "I'm on holiday" avatar. So you got no
hmm
top on, maybe a
hmm
coconut hat on, or whatever it is, like a beer hat, and then yeah, a suit for when you're in a
yeah,
meeting.
exactly. Yes, man. I'm sure one day they'll have it. They're just gonna probably save it for another product you have to buy because that's the classic Apple method. We're
Yeah,
gonna
to be
save.
fair, dude, they are really pushing stuff on that headset. I see constant updates about like new titles, new software, all sorts of stuff.
It's yeah. You would think that it's completely dead if you only read the journalist's major publication news, but yeah,
Right.
there's a lot of just wacky things that comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about one actually right off the go that kind of came out this week. That was a welcome surprise for me, especially. So Valve actually released a version of Steam Link that is
Mm-hmm.
native for the headset. Now I have
Mm-hmm.
to be careful because everyone that's watching, they'll say Steam Link. That means you can do Steam VR in it. No, right now it's just like if you go on Quest, there's two options. There's the VR or just to play your normal non-VR library in a window on Quest. That side has got fully ported and native to Vision OS. And
Dude, I had no idea that you could do that on Quest.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I know you could just, but I just literally boot in. Oh yeah, of course. You just boot into Steam and then it's 2D or VR, but depending on what you fire up. Okay, so I guess when you go in there now on Apple, you see your Steam VR games, but what
It
happens?
it's more like it just boots into the big picture mode actually, like the Steam Deck UI, and you see all your games there. You can't launch into any VR games. It's all your like if you want to play Slay the Spire 2 or Halo Master Chief Collection, it'll just have that on a screen.
Mm.
Very standard, but it runs super well. It's very low latency. It's done very well, and also you can adjust how curved it is as well. You can make it curvy or flat, straight on the wall.
Probably a stupid question, but why Valve, knowing that Apple Vision Pro is a VR headset, would they not
It's
do
a
VR
lot
games?
more work to port VR to at least Valve's version of VR. I think it will come someday at this
I
point.
think it will, definitely, by what you're saying, but
Yeah, but the current methods of doing that, like the current methods that people currently do to get VR working, PCVR working on the headset, are Valve don't want to release something unless it's like good and easy. And I think the APIs that are currently available for that have not been enough for Valve to want to take that step yet. But I think it's getting much closer. Like we were talking in a previous episode that they added like Fovea's streaming framework and everything in like the most recent
yeah.
release Vision OS software update and stuff. So I do think that stuff's coming. But for someone who uses this headset to play flat games like literally whenever I want to play like Deadlock. I've been testing Steam Link because before I was using Moonlight, and it's a really just great experience. And it doesn't run. It takes, at least I've noticed, less resources than Moonlight, which is good because that means I can have way more
Frames
windows open and
and
all
all
the
that stuff.
frames, and yeah, so that makes me happier. But yeah, good start. It was again very big surprise that we got Valve putting their official first SteamOS or Vision OS app out there.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm happy whenever anything gets some sort of update because it means
Yeah,
people care
yeah.
and they want to see things improve.
And I also think I've always kind of said this, but I want to like reiterate: Valve does not care what device you have. They just want people on Steam, and this is just more proof of
Yeah.
that. You know, like they don't care if they have Steam Link on Pico or Quest or even the HTC standalone headsets that barely anyone uses. They just want to have everyone on Steam. That's their goal. So when you think of them that way, everything always makes sense.
But then, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Steam is king, really, of gaming stores. So, like, yeah, it makes sense for everyone.
Yeah, I saw Amazon is actually closing down there. They had something called Amazon Luna, their like cloud store. I never heard of it until today, but they're closing it down. And anyone who bought games on there, I guess, is gonna be mad or something.
Wow.
I don't really know, but yeah.
I never heard of that. I never heard of that.
I never heard of it either, but a lot of people were going crazy about it.
That's silly, man. They should have bundled it with like Amazon Prime or something, and then
Yeah.
people probably would have jumped on it, Crazy. So, from your notes, what is recent headless changes?
Oh yeah. I'm glad I almost forgot about that. So that was also really another change that made me really happy. So this is a very like small amount of people, I know, but when someone says they have a headless PC, that means that it's a PC that doesn't have a monitor connected like at all. And if you're running Windows, you tend to run one of two drivers that like makes like a custom display that Windows sees, and when you connect to it from a device, it doesn't have to be a headset, it can be your phone or whatever. Generally, it will set like a custom resolution and custom whether it's HDR on or off or refresh rate or everything. Valve is now catering to that driver so that anytime you connect to Steam Remote Play from any headset, because when your headset or a device connects to it, it is requesting a certain resolution normally, and that driver through Steam can tap into that driver and set the correct resolution, aspect ratio, everything automatically now, which is awesome because that means people at Valve are also testing the very niche use case of weirdos like me who are just tapping into their computers
My
without
God.
monitor plugged in, and it works seamlessly, especially with the new Steam Link for Vision OS. It works great. Even to the point where let's say I go my desktop is on like a regular 16:9 aspect ratio, but if I like open a game that has the resolution set to an ultra wide aspect ratio, the window will just change automatically on my headset. And I'm just like, that's the kind of stuff I love. I can't wait till that stuff gets
How do you know they're just
3D.
not watching you all the time and going, what would Bradley like?
I don't know.
Because I can't imagine. I know no one else that does what you do.
I know there's a couple people out there, but yeah, we're all freaks of nature. But
Headless PC users now.
headless piece, yeah. When I posted that on Twitter, so many people were making jokes about what how you don't have a head. How are you seeing your PC, dummy? Or all that good comments. But
Brilliant.
yeah,
Brad was always AI. He was never even a person, so it doesn't matter if he has a head. And then you've got something about Galaxy XR. I haven't used Galaxy XR at all, but we mentioned Elnar last week or the week before, even though it only feels like 5 days ago. Chatted to Elnar, and he was telling me about how he watches this podcast and my videos in 3D.
Yep. So that's awesome. I think Elnar's a big fan of Android XR. It's his main headset recently is the Galaxy
Right.
XR. He's a
Yeah.
big fan. He's probably about into that headset as I'm about as much as I'm into this headset almost. But yeah, so Galaxy XR. Let me. I don't think we talked too much about it on this show. So
Do you know what, dude? I really don't know anything about it apart from it's like a very black version of Apple Vision Pro. That's all. That's all I know about it, and I don't know how much it costs, but it's probably the same price.
it's about $800 MSRP. I've seen a lot of people get cheaper prices because they do like edgy.
The Galaxy XR is $800.
1800. Sorry,
Oh,
1800.
I was going to
Yeah,
say 800. I'm like, damn. I
that
might
would
look
be
into this.
a ridiculously crazy price.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I have one. It's not. I don't use it unless there's an update coming out. It let me put it this way. It's like in between from software wise between MetaQuest 3 and Vision Pro. It's definitely trying to lean more to the Vision Pro in terms of software and operating system and everything. Hardware wise, it's very high resolution displays, but I think the chip inside it is holding those displays back quite a bit. And they're also doing things in the OS to kind of hide further that it can't handle it. Like one thing that bothers me, which will be I'll get to why I think this is a big problem with this new update, but Vision OS you can make windows really small and the text is still quite legible because they're willing to make the text size quite small because they're confident enough that the system can render it at a good enough level. Whereas the Galaxy XR, they're using the same chip almost as the Quest 3, but they're running displays double the resolution of the
yeah.
Quest 3. So they'll do stuff like they won't let you get the text size small or they won't let you have the windows as small just so you know, the
But
resolution they're probably rendering is probably not as high as the Vision Pro.
it does have eye tracking and favorited rendering and stuff, obviously.
Yeah, it's got all that on a system level. That stuff works quite well. It's not for input. Let me put it this way: input is not the default selection for everything. It does not come with controllers by default. When you start up and set up a Galaxy XR, it's the raycast from your fingers, so it's like Quest when you're using hand tracking.
Right.
You can set it up to do the eye tracking and pinch, which I still do anyway, and it works okay for some things. But if you're trying to like type stuff on Twitter on a keyboard like I try to do this week, I was having a hard time.
Yeah.
But it's again, it's a good base for Android XR, but it was very slow for getting any huge software updates. This one that released this week, the headset released in October. This is only the third software update at all that the headsets had. So people were, starting to get worried because,
I was
Google
going to say, is
has,
that due to interest, maybe, or
yeah, like people were like, Google is very well known for just dropping stuff at the tip of any sort of problem or whatever. But they did release this new software update, and alongside the update, I'll say what's in it. But they did make a promise that they're going to actually update the software more regularly, starting with this update, and they're going to support the system software for up to 5 years from that October date. So just probably to counter some of the commentary online about how this thing's not getting updated, and people are not very trusting of Google when it comes to stuff like this.
you're going to think I'm a mug, but this is a Samsung Galaxy headset. Google is Android. Why are the updates tied to Google and not to Samsung? Kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you're saying Google, 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 and I'm thinking, wouldn't it be Samsung actually doing this because it'd be like their own
So
OS on top of this kind of thing, or
right, yeah. There's some Samsung stuff on there, but for the most part, when they did this partnership, they mostly
it's a
had
part?
Google.
I didn't
Yeah, it's
know
a
that.
partnership thing.
Okay,
Like this is the only thing on the market right now you can do Android XR. So they both put kind of a lot of their stakes to have people, and they're also kind of more so pushing the enterprise stuff like Apple has been doing because realistically that's probably the market that's going to adopt something like this right now the most. But again, even for enterprise, you want to have more promises that there will be more updates and security features and stuff like that going on. But now to finally get into the updates that they did add this week, the biggest one was they have auto-spatialization for pretty much anything, any app, game, video, photo that you run on the system. So let's say you are just going on a YouTube video or watching our podcast, like you're saying Eleanor does, it will just
yeah.
automatically now, whether it's uploaded in 2D or whatever, on device, automatically just convert that to 3D. And when it's working, this feature looks actually quite good, and it
Really?
and it and it hides because it's being so there's sometimes where the depth isn't accurate and there's some things,
Yeah.
but for the most part it's pretty good, and it doesn't suffer from the problems like if you tilt your head. Because normally when you have a 3D video, it's like you literally tilt your head, things get mismatched on your headset, things will get all screwed up. But it doesn't run like that here. And it also works for stuff like the entirety of Google Chrome. You can open up Twitter, your entire timeline becomes this spatial 3D thing. So every little video, picture, whatever, all becomes 3D as you're scrolling it. And it's like you're looking into a weird spatial portal, but it's just your Twitter app that's being auto-converted on the fly.
It
So
sounds amazing.
it
Actually,
actually is pretty good for that use case. Yeah,
it
like
sounds amazing.
go to any website as well. Go to any website, bam, just all every element on that web page just becomes 3D, and it looks pretty good. Now, I do have complaints about it because we were talking about how the chip can't handle a lot of things, and this spatialization feature is actually a labs feature, so it's considered experimental, beta, alpha, whatever. And it can only work for things up to 1080p 30 FPS. So if you're watching a video past that, then it'll
Ah,
just automatically turn off, which sucks because the first thing I wanted to try with this was I wanted to get the Steam Link app from the Play Store and stream a game from my
yeah,
PC,
of
which I
course.
did,
In 3D.
see in 3D, and it would work by default for like a few seconds, but because it wasn't at 1080p 30 FPS, because of course you want to run games higher than that. If you're running on a PC, it would just like conk out. But if you do want to like for example, Slay the Spire 2, you can run that game at 1080p 30
In
FPS.
3D.
And yeah, it looks awesome in 3D real time. It looks
That's
sick.
so good, dude. I really hope this feature comes to Steam Frame, man.
Yeah, it needs to come to every
Everything.
headset. Yeah, it needs to
Yeah,
come to every
yeah.
headset. Which I think it will one day. I think everyone will figure it out. There's some imperfections to this that I think can be kinked out, and you know, I know Meta, they do have a 2D, a 3D feature, but it's only for Instagram, I believe, the app on Meta Quest. So
Yeah.
they've been tinkering with it, but I agree, this is a really cool feature just to have, even if
Yeah.
it's an option for people.
I would
It works
actually
cool.
consider scrolling social media in there if that was the case. You know,
That was really like one of the best use cases for it, surprisingly.
yeah,
It's cool.
I would do that.
And some other stuff that it added is kind of like the basic kind of like wall pinning, so like you can drag apps to your wall and it automatically snap to it. This was also, I'm kind of confused by this one because this one was actually launched on my headset day one, even though it was a labs feature. But by default, when you would see your hands on top of Windows Objects VR, it would be like the ghostly hands like on Quest. I think by default, maybe, or something different, it's like the Vision Pro where it does actually mask your hands out over everything. But again, for me on day one, that was an experimental setting you can turn on anyway. But we talked before how that's an awesome feature. Like you have to try it once to kind of understand it, but it's a really,
What occlusion?
yeah, the hand occlusion stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So they have that, and also persistence between either like restart or whatever. So like you have all your windows placed how you want them, and then you turn off the headset or you come back to the headset, it'll always place them there. So again, all these are very like Vision OS-y stuff, but they're all stuff that I think every headset will get eventually, and they're very good quality of life features. And it's good to see again Galaxy XR getting something because
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
that's cool. You also wrote down about the Navigator UI that's just come to Quest users,
yeah,
and you wondered if I had it. And to be honest, I can't even tell whether it's there or not there anymore because
yeah,
I think where, and I don't know if we spoke about it, that little Quest 3 there, that was like an experimental quest sent to me to give feedback about
all right.
Navigator UI in summer last year. So I've had it, I've not had it, I've had it, it's gone, it's come back. And I to be honest, like I go in the quest and I literally go bang link or bang
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
I haven't actually tested it to be honest, or
Yeah, no, okay,
I
that's
don't even
fine.
know if it's there.
Yeah,
So
I think they released a blog because again, like every update on Quest, it was rolling for a while and people would get
right.
different versions of it, depending on the lottery. But I
Yeah.
guess now they said that every headset, at least I would assume Quest 3, Quest 3S, is just gonna have it, starting this week. I've already seen some comments online of some people like it, some people despise it.
Why do they despise it? Because it's more steps? Or because I'd
More
assume it
steps.
should be less steps, really. That's the idea of it. It should be less steps.
Most people when I see them complain was more steps to do something they do on the normal. I
Yeah.
didn't I don't know, I don't really use it, but it seems like that yeah, I understand. I can see why that's a problem, but I also saw people like were like kind of like in my Discord, there was someone that had like I guess 2 accounts on their headset, and when they went into one account, they had the Navigator UI, and when they went to the other account, that one did not have the Navigator UI, which I've never. That is wacky how that works, but yeah,
Yeah.
new update. And the one thing I want to say about Navigator UI is it clearly is eye tracking focus. Like all the stuff that they're building right now is most definitely for like the next, like the next headset thing that they're working on. It's very clear in that sort of way. So I would say if things don't look right or work right on Quest 3 or Quest 3S, I would just plainly say it's probably not being developed with those devices in mind, frankly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And then he talks about Meta has frozen development on the Meta Audio SDK, but also continues its partnership with Unity for next generation VR experiences. Yeah, I saw this, and there was one comment I kind of echoed myself. I was like, why does this matter? Like, why is this partnership with Unity? Not that it isn't important, because a lot of games use Unity, obviously, but why would that not have been the case? And why is it now something to celebrate?
I don't know if it's something to celebrate. I think it's more of the same, but I think like
Right.
what I think has happened. So let's talk about what the Meta XR SDK is. That's been something that they've been developing for a few years. It allows developers to just kind of put a plug-in in their game and automatically create spatial
Spatial
audio
audio.
and like
Yeah.
all of the stuff. Like if sound could bounce off walls in their game and it would just work, right? Yeah, they released an update this week saying they're not going to update it anymore, and the version that they have now is just what you get, devs. It was the same time again as this Unity announcement. So, my opinion, I don't really think either announcement means like doomium or copium or anything. I just think
Right.
it's more of like I don't think Meta wants to be building all these systems that only work on their headset, and they might actually be pushing more to the standardized OpenXR stuff from now on, because a lot of the reasons why I think that they were building a lot of this stuff, even there's even a controversy with Meta's version of OpenXR would not work on any other headset that had OpenXR, for an example, which kind of defeats the point of what OpenXR was built for, was to standardize everything.
Yeah.
Developers can just build one version of an app, and ideally it would work just out of the box with every system. I think organizationally, higher ups from Meta were just wanting to have more of like a moat around their software library and wanted to make it a little bit more difficult for developers to target multi-platform back when it was economically made sense for that decision to happen for developers. But these days, we know the state of the industry, the state of how hard it is to get sales for especially VR games, that I think now they're more going to the other side, where they're probably going to be more friendly, I would say, to the standardized OpenXR, because it's to the point where that you are getting competition from multiple OpenXR systems. Galaxy XR we were just talking about, that's all OpenXR based.
Yeah.
Pico is OpenXR based, of course. A funny thing about the Apple headset, when you run the PCVR games through their Fovea streaming framework, that only runs OpenXR stuff too. And of course, Steam Frame also supports OpenXR. So again, it's just I think more alleviation of the developers is expected for the next few years, and having a developer only focus on.
I mean, as much as thinking of it like a VHS versus Betamax thing,
Yeah,
what real implications does it have for developers? Like, does it add a lot of differences for them to implement either of these?
I don't think so. I think for the
Right.
most part, probably not. I even know that, like, just to talk about, there's even a version that's kind of like this of Steam Audio. Steam Audio is like basically the same thing, and that works for any platform as far as I know. So even
Right.
developers who put Steam Audio plug-in right into their games, that will work for multiple systems. So I just think they're actually doing some. I think Meta's being more realistic. Like I know I kind of trash on them a lot, but I think they're genuinely making a lot of like more realistic
Changes.
decisions of
Yeah.
like the current industry, rather than constantly trying to inject it with
Yeah, yeah,
something.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it all makes sense, I think.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, it's probably good enough. Doesn't need
Good
to
enough.
constantly be updated and changed.
Yeah, that too.
But the Unity thing, what does that even
Yeah, I,
signify?
I don't think it signifies much. I just think it's like a few years ago, they first made a huge money donation to Unity to say, "Hey, do this." And from what I've heard, Unity is always trying to get money from platforms if they want to be listed as a platform for development on the Unity SDK. I could go in many stories about that, but a lot of them are I don't they might get people in trouble. But basically I just think it's like, hey, we're still in this. Let's continue the payment, still be listed as, a platform under Unity. Let's just keep doing it. I don't think it means too much, frankly.
Yeah, I think for some people it meant quite a bit because they were like next generation VR experiences.
Uh,
Everyone's sort of like everyone's just trying to move forward. They want to get to Quest 4. They want to, get away from
I
current Quest games and stuff.
I really do think that if anyone is developing for VR now, they're just going to use all the standard OpenXR stuff as much as they can because they want to be on Steam Frame. They want to be on blah 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 blah. It's
Yeah.
just the way it is.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so that's that done. And then I guess the big one is
Yeah.
Rec Room closing down this June. So I might as well ask you first, man, like what was your experience of Rec Room? What was your thoughts on it and how often did you use it and when did you start using it and why did you start using it?
The first time I went in a Rec Room was probably in 2016 when
Mm,
the Vive came out. It was mostly for paintball, which I thought was really, especially at that time, there was nothing in VR that was active multiplayer game wise like Rec Room was. So just be able
yeah.
to hop in anytime and play like this simple paintball game with friends and other people.
Mm,
That was just a very great experience. I would also hop into it a few times throughout the next couple years whenever they would release like a big game from them. But after that, no, I just kind of grew out of it and I never really touched it since probably this past, I would say 4 years at least. So for me, I'm not missing anything, but I think that's a common theme. A lot of people grew out of it, and just weren't using it like they did back in the day.
yeah, same as man. Like I remember I think as you said actually, it's a really good point. It was the first like online multiplayer social experience, especially on PSVR, because I originally started on PSVR. And it just works so well. It just worked with the move controllers really well. Everything was well implemented. Then we got Rec Royale, which is like a miniature version of
Uh,
Fortnite in VR. Dude, I was addicted to that. I absolutely loved it, and it was really cool. Maybe not many YouTubers in the world experience this, but you in VR, because it's in VR, you get to meet people who might know you off the channel and follow your content. So that was really cool. I got to meet people. They're like, dude, I watch you on YouTube. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But another thing I did in there, because they had really good tools for people to make stuff. I'm not saying I ever got to grips with them, but I was one of the lucky ones where I started a podcast in there. And I thought that was quite cool. Like Inception wise, like a VR development show in VR with VR developers. And there was this like amazing team of people who would build. Do you remember the game To the Top?
no, I don't remember that
It was
one.
one of the viral ones because like Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, they all played it, calling it Spider-Man in VR, and you basically just like press
Okay.
your triggers on the move controllers and your hand sort of extended and you can pull yourself around. It's like really good movement wise. And it had a lot of challenges, a lot of levels that you had to try and get across. I used to love that game. Anyway, yeah, the guys built a To the Top level in Rec Room to interview the developers of To the Top.
Oh,
It was just insane. We did it for fast travel. We put a level from Apex Construct in there. Really cool stuff. Um, and it had really good pizza, good looking pizza. Rec Room. I used to like eating the pizza. Either way, it is it's a real shame, but they did go into funny directions
yeah, they
in
they
the
tried
last
to
two
be the next
years.
Roblox, and even Meta couldn't do that. I would say.
It was just weird, dude. Like it was on flat platforms, all of a sudden mobile platforms. I don't know whether it got popular on there or not. Obviously it didn't. And then yeah, they kept like doing these like collaborations. And I remember, so I was a Rec Room ambassador for about a year, and I had a code. And if people bought stuff using the code, it gave me money. Didn't really get much money from it, to be honest, because I've rarely done Rec Room content. But now and again, they would message me and they're like, "We've got Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming to Rec Room," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Wow, that's amazing. Is there a level?" And they're like, "No, there ain't no level." And I'm like, "Well, there's no world to visit." No. What is there? Skins. I was like, have we got nunchucks? Have we got, and it was like, I don't think
Yeah.
it had anything like that. And then they did He-Man. Another time I got really excited, and that ended up being pretty lame. And then they added legs, which I thought was
Yeah.
really freaky. I mean, it's weird because in Horizon, everyone was like, where's the legs?
Yeah.
But in Rec Room, I just never questioned it. I never thought about it. I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe because Horizon was trying to be more like Facebook, more real or something.
I think it was art directions from both sides. Like the art direction of Rec Room was very surprisingly well done without legs, whereas it
Mm,
seemed like I feel like for Meta's stuff, they were always building very uncanny valley avatars that would make sense if they added legs to them someday. So I
yeah.
think that's probably where the difference is.
Yeah. And they kept trying to bring real world stuff in like that.
And they had Mark Zuckerberg do an animation of a backflip on stage or whatever. I don't know if you remember that, but that was
I don't
awesome.
remember that. Did they do that?
Yeah, they did a whole thing where they're like, "Hey, look, guys, we have legs," and they had the anime and Mark Zuckerberg do a backflip. We're like, "You'll be able
My
to do that," and then like literally a
God.
day later, there was a bunch of articles saying how that was just all fake. Because the way they framed it, it looked like they were gonna do full body tracking. Because this was like the max hype period of all that stuff and everything. But yeah,
Zuckerberg loves to be a meme.
he
I
really,
think
yeah.
the Grand Theft Auto announcement will never disappear. That and that lady next to him is just so super hyped over Grand Theft Auto, and I'm not even sure she ever even played it. So that was quite funny. And then yeah, like you mentioned in these notes that Synth Riders, and I don't think I knew about this one. They had some major layoffs. Is this because Meta pulled funding again on stuff?
This was so for people who don't know, other than Synth Riders, they were actually a big developer for during the time that Meta was actually going to studios to pay them to build games for Horizon Worlds, not for the Quest platform, but for Horizon Worlds itself.
Really? Right.
Yeah, they were doing that. And
I know
Synth,
Dreams did one. I didn't know Synth Riders did one. It's Kluge, isn't it? Kluge Interactive.
yeah, Kluge, yeah. They
Yeah,
did I
Kluge.
think they might have done 2 or 3 when I was
I didn't
looking
know
into
that.
it. But yeah, they from what I've been told, a lot of people that were working on that stuff was unfortunately the ones that got let go. And Synth Riders is on all the platforms. It's even on Galaxy XR and Vision Pro. But frankly, it's like Synth Riders is not gonna be enough to just handle 100 people at a studio, so they had
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make cutbacks. But always appreciate what they're doing. They're still focused on XR and everything, so that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they've done really well. Like, Synth Riders, did it ever improve on Apple Vision Pro? Because
it's much better now.
yeah,
It wasn't even much to do with them. It was the fact that when they launched, the hand tracking was super like 60 hertz or something, super low.
right,
But
right.
as Apple upgraded that to now it's like 90 hertz native, it's way more playable these days.
Yeah, it
So
was a bit painful. And then I'm just gonna hand this over to you. Steam frame data mining.
yeah,
We should actually I should get a little bell to like do
yeah.
it's data mining time. Go for it.
Yeah, I don't get to do these that often anymore because, well, one, we know most things about Steam Frame, obviously, with the announcement. And also, just
Mm,
they don't, it's rare that we data mine a new big beta update that has stuff we don't know. And I think the big one I want to like kind of cover, even though there's a lot of icons, a lot of, like, it's still a lot of preparation for Steam Frame to actually release, even though it was announced 6 months ago.
yeah.
The big thing is they are actually I don't know if this was a surprise to me or what, but Valve is a small company, but they're surprisingly able to catch up to Meta, Apple, Google because they're releasing a travel mode. And for people who don't know what travel mode is, that's literally when you take your headset on a bus or the back seat of a car or an airplane and you just want to use it in that environment because normally in those environments the IMUs that are you have cameras and IMUs in your headset. The cameras like solve for drift because IMUs run at like a super high refresh rate and it helps for faster tracking. But when you're in a moving vehicle, IMUs just don't work. So people have been developing travel mode for these headsets that rely only on just the cameras to look at your environment and,
Yeah,
and,
so
and
I'm
track
assuming what
things.
would happen before is your world would just keep shifting.
Yeah, it would go flying away. You'd be like, oh wow, goodbye, video game.
I think
Never,
that happened. Didn't that happen with what's his name? Is it Kaisat? Oh, what's that guy on YouTube? He's awesome.
the Kai Sonat or whatever. or
Yeah,
something.
what's his name, dude? Casey Neistat, is it? Or Neistat?
Oh yeah. I think that's
I
right.
think he did a video on Apple Vision Pro, and I'm pretty sure he got on the underground or the subway, and Indy's whole UI just flew down.
Yeah. He didn't.
Yeah,
He didn't turn on the yeah, yeah. But yeah, that is what it's supposed to solve, and
yeah,
that's a very, very high level computer vision software. That's obviously focused on standalone use. You're not going to be doing this for streaming PCVR.
no,
Most people. So, yeah, there's still again. I was pleasantly surprised that they're already working on having that for Steam Frame, either when it launches or slightly after it launches. So that's cool. People will be able to play their Steam library on airplane with their headset on. So good use
excellent,
case.
nice. And is that the data mining for the week?
I would say that's the major stuff. There was some other stuff in there, but a lot of that stuff is mostly people who already know, or maybe you just want to see some of the like the UX stuff.
It's all the icons.
It's like
Yeah,
all the icons and UX stuff that's just finally making its way to the public facing stuff. And I don't want to ever talk too much about that because people are like, "Oh, they're gonna announce it tomorrow," but they've been adding
yeah.
stuff like that over the past months. But new
It's
features are more
crazy.
exciting to report on, I think.
It's just crazy. Like we're in April now, and it's so weird that back in January, February, we all thought it was coming in March.
I think thought it was coming first too, honestly. But yeah,
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. Do you ever go on the Steam Frame Reddit anymore?
usually people link me to stuff in that Reddit, so I have no choice. But
Yeah.
it seems like it's quieted down a bit, though, a
Yeah.
little bit. Like which
As you said, we
sucks.
know everything. We
We
know.
know everything. People are just waiting for them to be able to freaking buy it. So yeah,
But yeah, another note is Valve made a notably huge hire recently. And that's quite interesting
yeah,
because I remember last time we spoke about Valve, you were saying they're like quite a small,
yeah.
hardcore team that don't ever really change.
No, whenever Valve hires a full time employee, it's kind of just a big deal in context because they purposely leave their full time team pretty small, and the reason they do that is actually so they don't have to split the stock of the company more
Right. Split the
ways.
bill.
Yeah, split the bill. But yeah, they recently hired Ambuchia, who is very well known along pretty much all the main PCVR circles, especially if you've done anything with Pimax or the Windows mixed reality headsets more recently. They've been building out the virtual desktop XR stuff as well, that whole runtime. Like they do tons of stuff for the PCVR community just in their free time. He was actually working at Microsoft before this on like
Right.
HoloLens and all those efforts for years, but he recently left them. I think he was maybe doing some stuff with Xbox before leaving as well,
I've
but
never heard of him. I remember a guy, that name only rings a bell because I remember on Quest, the original Quest, someone brought over HoloLens demos to
mm,
Quest, and I made a video on them because they were just demos, but they were really cool. Like you had like lightning, and this is bear in mind, like hand tracking was pretty new, and you could like have like you had like these little conductors on your fingers, and you could like control lightning, and then it was like a gooey bowl. I mean, the video didn't do great; it was like 5,000-6,000 views, but this random guy messaged me and he was like, dude, that video is so cool. I actually worked on this. And he was very surprised because he obviously had nothing to do with this. Someone had ported it across.
yeah.
It's so weird how people just like make this stuff and don't want any recognition from it. You don't know where it comes from.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is so cool. So I don't know. Maybe he's something to do with that. I don't know.
I mean, this guy is like, he's a big deal. Like I think he might have worked at Valve a short term before Microsoft at some point, but it was like a short period of time. But yeah, he's back, and he. The funny thing about this whole thing is how he announced it himself, but he announced it on April's Fool Day on purpose, just to kind of
Yeah,
trick
make people
people.
like, is this true? Is this not
Yeah,
true?
yeah. But I think he's be a very valuable person on the Valve. Like Steam VR and Steam Frame will be way better with someone like him working on it. And again, it's a very big signal that during all these downtime, all these you keep hearing people firing company like all these firings, layoffs, whatever. But Valve decides we're gonna actually hire another full-time VR person on our
Yeah.
team like this, like a big name. So just they're still a small team, of course, but just to keep things in perspective that these major companies, even though they're just it seems always quiet in the back end, they're still long term always wanting to support this technology and build it out. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome stuff, man. That sounds absolutely great. And then you've got NBA Worldview beta on Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Now, I remember seeing something like this on Quest a few times, and I don't know whether it was the same thing or not. Like, what is this, like a mixed reality or a VR
Yeah.
thing?
So I'll explain it. NBA has always been very good about supporting XR stuff for some reason more than any other sports league. They love to experiment with new technologies. On Vision Pro, they've been doing multiple things. They've been doing they partnered with Apple to do immersive video live streams, so you can
Right.
watch games in 180 VR with Apple's extreme high-end cameras or whatever. They've been doing that for Lakers games the past season. I think that just ended because the season might have just ended. I don't know. I don't watch sports. But there was another feature they were doing where you could have a tabletop representation of what's happening live in the game as well. Like you would have a little flat table, a little court in front of you, and they would have these little robots with names above their heads when you like would look at them, or they would grab the ball. And it was
Right.
literally they basically, as far as I know, have a bunch of cameras in their stadiums pointing down at the court so they can have the live representation in the tabletop view. And now they have another feature where it's called Worldview, where that you can actually teleport into life size of that little representation. But they also have multiple themes for like kind of like each team. Like you could have like a Miami theme, and it would like reskin the entire environment you're in, and the court and everything and all the
Wow.
effects. Or you can have like I think for the Texas team they have like a Wild West where you're in the Wild West and they retheme the environment and the ground to be like you're in a desert and like thimbleweeds or whatever. Like very fun little stuff that you can just do. And you can also have the live game still in a big window on top of it or wherever you want. And you can teleport onto the court, by the way. So while these people are like, you can be right in the center of the court, you get the virtual representations like run over you if you want. It's like really kind of from a technology standpoint, it's really cool. But the one reason I
Yeah.
want to bring this all up is because when I see this, I know people are not going to want to see like little robot characters of their favorite players. They're going to
No.
want to see the real thing.
Yes.
But when I see NBA, especially a league like NBA build something like this, I see the future. And I'm going to go into my little Gaussian splatting rant again.
Why not?
Yeah,
Second time in a row. Let's go.
yeah, because I've been seeing more of this more recently. There's especially if anyone wants to see something amazing, look up a company called Arcturus Studios. They are that's all they're doing is they're basically trying to take Gaussian splatting, apply it to sports. So instead of just seeing this robot, you will see from any angle like a hologram of what's happening live or recorded in a game, and it all uses Gaussian. It's like my avatar right now, right? Imagine my avatar playing basketball, but with all the other players on the court live. And this technology, I believe, is going to get there to the point where this worldview feature will evolve into that. And people will be like, I can't believe we watched everything on a 2D flat freaking screen one day. So
I love
it's
that.
just
Even if you could
amazing.
actually put your own Gaussian splatter view on every player, there'd just be a pitch full of Bradleys playing basketball. I mean, that'd be amazing.
It would, and also like there's a lot like I'll probably go to SIGGRAPH again this year because last year's SIGGRAPH was very Gaussian splatting. This year I keep seeing the papers being submitted and accepted. Tons of Gaussian splatting. I see stuff like relighting, retexturing, re like whatever. It's all Gaussian splatting. So like when you think about the context of where you have these robots playing in like Miami with like purple lighting and all this stuff, I can totally imagine that
Yeah.
of like just like how we have Instagram filters and cosmetics for Fortnite skins. I can totally imagine that they're going to take this technology and you'll be able to choose which theming you want to watch it in like one day. Like it just all these things are slowly coming together to make like hologram. It's really holograms. Like our dreams of holograms are actually coming to life through this technology. So it's awesome.
The first time I remember thinking holograms were cool, not knowing they were holograms, I think was watching Star Wars, where they had like that table, that chess game,
Yeah.
and the hologram monsters appear and they're fighting on the table. And I thought that is so cool. I think the reason it works with NBA or basketball in general is because you can get so close to the
Yeah.
the court. You know, like with football, it doesn't like the cameras are still quite far away, the action's quite far away,
Yeah.
but with basketball, you're always really close to the action. So I reckon that's why that works so well with that.
I really can't wait because I know Apple partnered with there's a big stadium in Spain where they do all not American football, your real football games, and then
Our real version of football, yeah.
yeah, real football. That actually you guys actually use your feet. We don't, except for like
Mm,
1 minute out of the game. But yeah, they've been installing a bunch of cameras, and we haven't really seen exactly what that's for yet. But I can totally imagine that one day it'll be like we'll be able to see NBA. All these things will be figured out eventually. But I
yeah.
do agree. It's what you say. Like the basketball is very small, compact,
Yeah, that's right.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of action as well, constantly. And then last thing on our list today is Dolphin VR, which is a name I haven't heard for absolutely ages. I
Yeah.
have used it. I think I played Metroid. I played Metroid using it. I thought it was amazing. I think that's how we got Mario Kart working in VR as well, but it was a bit of an issue because every time you started a race, you had to put the camera inside the player's head or something. It was an amazing experience because I even got it working with my Logitech G29 steering wheel.
Wow.
It was unreal, dude. Like that video should have got 1 million views, but it got about 2. But yeah, talk to me. So this has now been updated.
Yeah, like you said, I think Dolphin VR was a thing around 2017 was probably
Yeah.
mostly when it was a thing. And it kind of like died over the years as Dolphin itself got updated. And I think the old Dolphin VR was based on the Oculus Rift's SDKs and stuff.
Right,
So it's
right.
also very closed source, like you couldn't really change much with it. But the new version that's literally released this week, it's all rebuilt for OpenXR. And that's actually kind of cool. I'm not recommending one do this, but it could be built for Android if you want. So, if you had a ROM and you had a Quest and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
did
yeah.
this. Maybe it could run. I don't know, but yeah, I see people rediscovering it, and it's way more modernized, of course, and probably computers now probably would run Dolphin VR better than computers back then
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So yeah, I reposted a video today of someone playing the old, I think Sonic Heroes on it, and
That's
it
right.
looks
It was on
awesome.
Reddit. I am actually in the Dolphin VR Reddit.
Awesome, good, good, good.
So I have to go and check that out. I'll have to go and check that out because again, I would love to play Metroid again, and it actually run very well. That'd
Yeah,
be
it ran pretty rough back then. I remember that too.
yeah, it was
So
all pretty rough, man. But
yeah.
yeah, dude. Unless there's anything you want to add, I think that has been a pretty action-packed episode.
Yeah, I think it was actually, and you know what? I think this episode was more positive than our previous ones. I did,
Mm.
I was looking back at our older, like the past two ones, and it wasn't supposed to be negative, but it just, news is a cyclical thing, and
Yeah,
we've
but
gotten
then
a
at the
lot of good
same time,
news.
we've got no idea what Bosworth's going to do next. We've got no idea what people are going to say next. And this year has been an absolute roller coaster.
Yeah, it
It's
has.
been the craziest year in XR, VR, AR I've ever known, with
Yeah,
so much good happening and then so much bad happening at the same time that you don't know where you sit. And if you're not privy to any of it, it's kind of great because you're kind of
yeah,
just like, what new games are coming? That's if you're outside of all this. But yeah, I'm on
yeah,
social media and I see a lot of stuff, and it's just wild at the moment. And I think that's why a lot of people are still hedging their bets on Steam Frame, because even if they
yeah.
don't get a Steam Frame, more games will be coming to potentially Quest because they're coming to Steam Frame and vice versa.
And I would imagine we didn't talk about this last week, but just on one more note on Steam Frame, because they solidified that 90 frames per second like target.
Yeah, yeah, the verified thing. Yeah.
I would imagine that rush to get to that for Steam Frame would also come to other standalone platforms because I don't know. I think that's very valuable if you're a developer to get that badge.
Yeah,
I
of
would say,
course. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you're not necessarily saying the game's good, but you are saying that at least when you get in there, there's no
yeah,
hitching, there's no dropping frames. Like with Quest, there's so many different things at work trying to give you a steady image.
yeah,
Asynchronous space warp. You then got all those, what are those dead frames called? I can't remember what they're called now. There's like
drop frames.
yeah, there's a name from, I can't remember what it was called because this phase sync was trying to
I see.
battle that stuff. And either way, it just means that it's not a native image you're looking at.
Yeah.
It's always like
I
some sort of
mean,
magical trick.
there's a lot of people who weren't around during the first wave. I don't even want to call it first wave, but the 2016 wave. 90 frames per second was chosen by everyone for a reason. Like, it was just the
Yeah.
number that motion sickness went away for most people. But when standalone kind of came out, it was very unreliable with that first generation chip to hit 90 frames per second for most things. So they chose 72 hertz as more of like a, well, we got to get this thing out. And 98 frames per second is a good number, is all I'm trying to
It would
say.
be nice
So,
to go, man. And before we started the episode, we was talking about like even now with games, how some games were even a higher quality than what we get in 2016, 2026. Like there was some really cool games back then. Yeah, it's just a wild time for me. I still look back. I still go through my old library sometimes, and I'm like, I've completely forgot about that game, and it was so good. It was so good sometimes back then. Yeah, man. Yeah, I hope 90 frames does become a standard. I
I
think
hope so.
I would love that as a reviewer because some days I play some games. If anyone wants to see a bad game on Quest released this year, go and look at Made of Skur.
No.
Wow, that is unbelievable for a port. That should never have happened. It should never have come to the Quest store. I don't know who allowed it. I don't know how it got for any Q&A. Door handles are not even round. They're like diamonds. They render weird. The graphics are awful. It stutters. It's just like the ultimate bad experience if you have a Quest. And yeah, I wonder how many people only experience VR with Quest, and that's what they think it is like that.
Yeah.
You know, games are poor and games aren't well good performing. They haven't experienced like 120 hertz or 90 hertz, you know.
Yeah.
Interesting times, mate. Interesting times.
We'll still be sticking around for these interesting times,
I
seems
don't
like.
even know. Yeah, I'll be here forever. I think. I don't know. I think the next time I don't turn up will be because I'm dead. I'd just be like, do you know what I mean? They'd be like, "Where's GT?" Well, he died because he would be here if not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, dude. Thank you for turning up. Thank you for the new haircut and face. You know, look forward to that.
I think I'll have a haircut for real though next time. And
What
I'll
you do?
scan again.
What are you doing with the facial hair though? Because the moustache is a
But yeah.
permanent feature now, isn't it?
Yeah, like this weird, I guess, is this called a goatee? I don't even know what to call this
It's nearly a
trash.
goatee. You just got a little gap here.
Yeah, I can't grow there. It's just, yeah. But yeah, it's weird. I like it because it gives me a defining feature when I wear a headset because you can't see this top.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
I know what you're saying, dude. All right,
yeah.
man. Well, thank you to everyone who watches. Remember to like and subscribe. This episode will be on Spotify as well, so go and follow us on there. And I will see everyone on the next episode. Take care, Brad. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, 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 bye. Nice. Cool.